show you something beautiful. Everyone screaming for mercy. You want to protect the world, but you don't want it to change. You're all puppets, tangled in strings.
All right, guys, this is the Simply Put podcast movie spoiler-filled edition for Marvel's Avengers, Age of Ultron. My name is Micki Angeles, and I'll be your host today.
What's up, everybody? I am Fred Niones, a.k.a. Angelo.
Hey, it's Jay.
And here we're going to go discuss everything that that has to do with Avengers Age of Ultron. We're going to give our positives, our negatives. We're going to give what was our most memorable moment, what was our favorite moment. Did we like the movie in general? Did we not like it? What did we like about it and what we didn't like about it? And then we're going to give you guys a brief pretty much a score, and then kind of discuss where the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe is. But before we get to that, we're going to get into our non-spoiler review just to give you a glimpse of what's to come.
This vulnerable world needs something more powerful than any of us. Everyone creates the thing they dread. Ultron in the flesh. No matter who wins or loses, trouble always comes around. You've meddled with something you don't understand.
We have no place in the world.
I'm gonna tear you apart from the inside.
Oh boy.
All right, guys, how epic was that? Yeah. So, let me start it off with my episode review. I thought that Avengers Age of Ultron was an action-packed onslaught of the Marvel Cinematic Universe goodness. Joss Whedon and family takes us on an adventure that stems not only from the current state of the MCU, but also right after Avengers 1, where we are with the group from the get on a mission to take on the bad guys. We have the group with Captain America, Thor, Iron Man, with Hawkeye, Black Widow, and the Hulk. Now also adding Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver, and Ultron to compromise the sequel's goodness. I do think this movie does take a few good watches to get all the goody bits of the story and characters. I get that Whedon stated that the original cut was a runtime close or to pass 3 hours. Though I would be down along with the others to watch the film, but he did do a good job, I thought, of cutting it down for the main audience. I did just fanboy out, but like in every other film, it has its flaws. But to me, it still did not take away from what I enjoyed from the film and all the setups to future Marvel Cinematic Universes.
My review for the movie, it was the lead up to Phase 2. It fulfilled all the action needs that I needed. Anybody could watch this. The whole crowd that we were in was a very diverse crowd. It's very recommended that everybody should watch this movie. I enjoyed it a lot. It does have its flaws, but for me, it's very, very, very minimal. As Mick said, the 3 hour cut. Hey, I'm down to watch that also. Hey, Avengers Age of Ultron, good movie.
All right. So since Thursday, I've watched this movie 5 times.
Wow.
And I already watched it more than I watched the first one. So I really like this movie. Age of Ultron is another great addition to the Marvel Cinematic Universe as a whole. But I still think that Winter Soldier edges it out as the best film from the 11 films we've seen so far. But story things aside, great action, funny. There was drama, great character development. I love the interaction between the characters. To me, Ultron is the best villain since Loki. We've seen another guy potentially gonna take that throne right now, but I think it's Ultron right now. And if you're gonna watch it in 3D, I suggest you guys watch it in IMAX 3D because regular 3D is just too dark. So a 10 for me.
All right, guys, to get this conversation started, why don't we just start off with a question and kind of meld our review together. So right now, hit pause if you haven't watched this movie, or put us on your favorites, or add us, or whatever form of media you're watching this from. Just save us, click us, watch us later, because we're going to go spoiler heavy, and no more spoiler warnings till now, all right? Spoiler alert, spoiler alert. All right, cool. So we're going to start off the conversation about talking about what was the most memorable scene in the movie of Age of Ultron, and to me, that had to be... I thought the creation of Vision. I thought it was very ironic that, you know, we have the Vision who was birthed in this chamber called the Cradle, and it was very Whedon-esque in how he builds that up. And the character design was great. It was severely pushed through the main screen. And it was highly, I'm using the wrong words, but it was greatly translated, is the word I was looking for. It was greatly translated from comic to screen, live action, motion captured by Paul Bettany, who did a wonderful job. And the payoff with the hammer was set up greatly about how worthy the Vision was. And that's, to me, it stuck out the most in this movie.
My most memorable scene, I have a couple, but after watching it 5 times, the one that I kept orgasming to was when it was Vision, Iron Man, and Thor giving that triple blast to Ultron. It was like pure comic right there, and you just geek out when you see all of them team up against this guy, and he was like, oh man, I can't.
My most memorable scene, as Mick said, was the Vision actually lifting the hammer, and then just the whole team at all. Like, who is this guy? What did just happen? And it just proves that they were uneasy. They didn't know who he was. He was a stranger. They didn't know whether to trust him. And that message alone just showed them he is the guy to trust, and we can trust him.
Yeah, just to piggyback on what the scene Angel's talking about, I think the whole movie was filled with those type of scenes. I thought it was like, if you were reading comics back in the 90s, it was like a Jim Lee splash page, like X-Men, except this obviously is Avengers, but like you get that whole triple beam from Thor, Mjolnir, you got it from the pulsar rays, and you also the first use of the Vision's Omega beam on his temple, which now happens to be the gem, was it the soul gem or the mind gem?
Mind gem.
I'm getting all those colors mixed up, but it was great to see that, as well as even just the 360 aerial battle between protecting this key to dropping the city, with where you get, you know, Thor using the hammer, you get Quicksilver punching left and right, you got, you know, Captain America using his new magnetic shield, and it was so great the way that Vision just played into that, and I thought that was like, it's just filled with that. The entire movie is just filled with great action set pieces, but like well done set pieces. It wasn't just like there to just, you know, flash us. It was like everything had a purpose, and I thought that Whedon did a great job at it.
I think the whole movie was just like one big giant action sequence, just over 2.5 hours, because the action, like you said, it did ramp up, and I think this is the best action we've got so far in the Marvel films. I love the team ups between Thor and Cap.
Yeah, I think that was one of the better ones.
That was the most organic one, because it's like a callback to the first one, like how they're coming up with that team up was when Cap tells Thor in Avengers 1, drop the hammer, and he goes like, you want the hammer down? And then he hits the shield, and that whole vibration sets up, and then we see that in the beginning where they go like, oh look, they're lighting up, and then boom. That
the way we open up as we see this I was about to say Lord Loki. When we see his scepter and it jumps straight into, I think, although it was done very fluid, I thought it was very comic-esque, and I'm not sure if I really mean that in a positive sense, but it was very comic how no one spoke a word, and we went from character to character, going through the stronghold of Baron von Strucker's cell, I guess, Hydra cell, and the first words we hear is shit, and we get a great payoff with Captain America and how he just said, like, you know, language and that was another joke and a bit that was throughout the entire film, and it always paid off even till the end with Fury and all that jazz. So I was very excited to see that just to start up the film.
The comedy in this movie was absolutely perfect. It was always the right time. It wasn't overdone. There wasn't like too much comedy for this movie. With that running joke with Cap from beginning to end, I loved it so much. Like they could use it in so many instances. It wasn't just like the same thing again. Like, oh, remember the time when Captain America said "language people," or they brought it up different ways. They juiced up the one joke, but it wasn't like stale at the end of it.
What we didn't also manage to do was twist the joke and made it dramatic.
Yeah.
With that scene with the Quicksilver and Hawkeye when he saves Hawkeye's life and Quicksilver ultimately dies, you hear him say, "Oh, you didn't see that coming?" So it was like he was fucking with Quicksilver first when he first met him in the beginning, and then it came full circle with him saving his life. So that was a touching moment, and I think that was like a real payoff.
It was great to see Hawkeye get something to do in this movie, and I felt it was like Whedon did it in such a meta way where it was so self-aware. After the Avengers, the movie release, you heard all the rumblings about how Jeremy Renner wasn't really excited with his role in the Avengers, that he wanted something bigger, and I thought that all his scenes was alluding to that, but still maintaining his character. It was like answering all those flaws from the first movie and bringing it right back. It was a lot of callbacks from Avengers 1, and it feels like if you watch Avengers 1 and that was the only movie you saw in the cinematic universe, I think Avengers 2 does kind of flow you into the story if that's all you're watching.
And they hint at that in the beginning when they were like looking for the scepter and like, oh, we're finally coming full circle with the end of the Chitauri and Hydra. So that was a cool callback as well.
And also, we finally get to see the real Clint Barton, Hawkeye. And in all other iterations of it, we know that he's from afar, or he's an agent of Shield. He's an agent of Shield, and not much to the character. But then, like when he was playing around with Quicksilver, when Quicksilver took Scarlet Witch and just ran away with him, he was like, "Yeah, no one's gonna see that. I'm just here." Blah, blah.
He had some of the best lines in the movie.
He did capture most of his scenes, and then with the big reveal of the family, I was like, that was way out of left.
And his wife actually called him Hawkeye when they were at the crib. That was cool.
That was cool.
So would you guys say that Hawkeye is the most memorable character of the film?
No, to me, it's got to be Vision, bro, because he brings this uniqueness to a Marvel character that we haven't really seen. He even said it, I'm on the side of life, but even though he loves life and he thinks it's precious, he has to kill Ultron, which he didn't even want to do. So that juxtaposition of him being for life and Ultron being on the opposite side of the coin of extinction was a very cool dynamic to see. And their scenes together were the best in the movie, I think.
Yeah, mine, I'm gonna have to go with Ultron because it was a whole different take of how I saw the Ultron. Is this Ultron had character? He wasn't just a robot hell bent on destruction and his vision of peace in the world. He had a good humor to him. It was like more of a personality on the Ultron that I remember.
I gotta give it to, I think Elizabeth Olsen with Scarlet Witch did an amazing job. I thought what she did with the part she was given was remarkable. I think Joss Whedon molded her to fit into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I think it gave her character an honest translation of where she could be in the future. I wasn't a big fan of the accent, but it didn't deter me from not liking her. I think it's one of these accents that if they continue with it, it's pretty much what we're gonna have to accept and then keep on going with it. But even if they pull a Storm Halle Berry thing where they just give it up in the second run, then that's fine with me too. But I did like her scenes, and being that your memorable person was Vision, and this is horrible in radio because I just pointed to Fred, was great, and it plays a lot, not only to like the fanboys but also the casual fans of just the movies and people who might however it works out, this being your first Marvel film. It gives a lot of depth and character, and I love the throw of like Scarlet Witch and the Vision together, and how they're explaining things, how Vision's really a biometric android, but he has a soul gem now, which
mind
in the future might be scary when we get to like closer to the end credit scene. But I thought Scarlet Witch was an amazing character to bring into this. I feel like you got to change it now because Scarlet Witch has black hair and Black Widow has red hair, and then Black Widow Scarlett Johansson. I don't know, I'm getting confused a little bit. But I thought that Scarlet Witch was an amazing character. But as far as all the other characters, I thought Thor had funny lines, but I don't think his story was really in Age of Ultron. I felt like Thor was more pushing towards more Ragnarok, which was cool in some parts, but then there's other parts where I felt he just wasn't there.
I think that got affected because of the cutting it down to 2.5
No,
hours.
I definitely think that, because we got certain scenes, especially when he met up with Selvig and they go to that pond. Like Selvig is holding a box, but we didn't really get an explanation. So definitely, I thought that was on the cutting room floor. We got Captain America, who was stagnant, I thought, as far as his character development was in this movie. Opposite of his action scenes, they were great. I thought him personally, we didn't really learn a little bit more from him. I don't know if it was because we had other people in play, because I think the Black Widow and Hulk relationship, though people didn't like it, I wasn't a big fan of it in the beginning, but then as the movie progressed, it kind of started making sense how they're both, even though the Banner doesn't really have any powers, he just basically turns into the Hulk, and it's not Banner anymore. And Scarlet Johansson's Black Widow, though she is a trained assassin and she's gone through all this training, she can't really box with the big boys. You know, she falls into that human role with Hawkeye, and I feel like that's something they could bond with. And to me, it makes sense now, but originally I was kind of against it.
No, what sold me on their relationship was their scene at the party, where she goes like, "Oh, I'm interested in this guy, and I've all the men I know know how to fight, and this is the guy that doesn't want to fight because he'll know he'll win." So that would really sold me. And when Cap came in and goes like, "I seen her flirting up close," and then that jive, Ruffalo was like, "Oh, what do you mean up close?" That was funny.
Yeah, I like their interaction between each other. The only thing that was a little corny for me was the lullaby. For me, that it was a little weird, but other than that, I like their chemistry together.
Well, remember,
it was pretty cool.
They're treating Hulk like the atom bomb.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
they have
yeah,
to find
yeah,
like a
yeah.
fail safe, and that's the
Cold green.
Yeah,
Yeah,
cold green. Yeah.
And also, I like the interaction with the Science Bros. The way Mark Ruffalo and Robert Downey Jr. got together and kind of built Ultron, and giving us this new Marvel Cinematic Universe of the birth of Ultron I thought was good. And then how their vision is starting to coincide with like the outside vision, where you have Captain America, and you kind of see that when they try to recreate Vision. But that's one thing I didn't really get across. I thought that scene with Captain America and Iron Man in the wood chopping scene was great, but it didn't really kind of push us through Civil War. And I thought that's where some of the flaws lied in. It hinted at it, but there was no payoff, I thought, in the movie.
I think my negative was the lack of character development for Pietro, because you didn't really see him like. You didn't feel really attached to him. He was just that guy there running really fast. And then when he finally did the ultimate sacrifice to save Barton, because they were like hinting at the fact that Hawkeye was gonna die, and then they switched it around with him just saving him. I didn't feel a real connection to him. I was shocked that they actually pulled the trigger on him, but to me, that's where it kind of fell off.
Yeah, that was a big shocker. But my biggest thing that I really wanted was seeing more of Vision's powers. We saw it in like quick glimpses, but then I wanted to see him like face through a wall or become super dense, or something like that. But then we just saw him go in and out of a robot, him crushing Ultron's head, and I would have wanted a little more Vision.
Yeah, but that's kind of hard, being that
that's true.
he's introduced at the end of the film. Basically, he's on the third act. So I don't know. For me, for what they gave me, I thought pretty spot on. Paul Bettany's kind of English demeanor is so like perfect for the Vision. It's like I thought Ultron and Vision were the two characters that I was very curious to see, because reading the comics, you don't know how that voice, like, even if you haven't seen the movie, any of the movies, you kind of have a voice for these characters, but like Vision and Ultron are robots, so you don't know how it portrays. And them being offsprings of the Tony Stark persona makes it digestible to have Ultron be like that. Though James Spader scared the living daylights out of me with how he portrayed Ultron, he's another one I thought needed a little bit more character development. And trust me, I get it that there's a lot of characters that need touches, but I feel like Marvel, you're slacking on the villain character, and I felt like you could have done a little bit more with Ultron being more menacing than what he is, and giving him a little bit more character time, screen time. But yeah, there was like a lot of setups that I felt were misplaced or rushed. Like I said, Ultron felt like a miss with the Marvel cinematic villains, And I think the plot suffered a lot with the abundance of characters. So those are my negative points. Though I still liked it. Like I could definitely brush that off the rug, but I definitely did want to see something better, like a bigger threat than what Ultron gave us.
Yeah, I think. I hope that they release the Whedon cut, which was like 3.5 hours, maybe even 4 hours on like Blu-ray or whatever. But the story was okay. It hit kind of the same beats of Avengers 1, where there was a threat, the team got together, and then there was this big battle at the end. So that was a payoff for me. But like you said, there was a lot of characters, and they were running on a tight window of running time. So he did a great job of cutting it, but the story did suffer because of the cuts.
To me, it reminded me too much of Winter Soldier, but just with a bigger team up, because of the trying to prevent future catastrophes with shielding yourself with the whole God's. I don't know what I was for the shield. Project Insight, and with the whole Ultron thing. But I did need, as you guys said, more menacing, something more than just Ultron ripping off Andy Serkis's arm. That was the one part that I was like, whoa, damn, I can't believe he just did that. I can't recall that if there was any other ones that like that frightening for me.
Well, when he changed into his final body, when he like ripped his
his
old
yeah.
Well, you know what? Let's talk about some of the action set pieces. I thought that the Hulkbuster, Veronica, Savage Hulk, fight was great, but then it was still great. This is gonna change my thoughts minor just by reading some of the reports where like the Hulk was actually gonna turn gray.
Yeah.
It's a small thing, but like I really want to see how that would have looked. But I thought that fight scene was hilarious. The way that Tony Stark, it starts off with him using the elevator as like a mace, and then he's punching him. He got this, and then how like the satellite comes down and gives him replaceable parts every time it breaks, because it does make sense. If you're gonna be fighting the Hulk, he's gonna be ripping through some armor. And I thought all the jokes and
go to sleep.
That was
then he knocks his tooth and he's like, I'm sorry. Was great. And also like the post Man of Steel era that we live in, when they're gonna go to the building, he checks if there's any occupancy, and then he's like, oh, is it too late to buy it?
Like how fast can we buy this building?
So I thought that was great, and how like they're becoming more reactive, which Marvel characters are, than proactive, which is more of a DC thing. But I thought that fight sequence was one of the better ones, and I think an underrated one was the train sequence, or the sequence of getting the cradle out of Ultron's hands. I thought that was a good one too.
Yeah, I really like that chase sequence, because you had Captain America versus Ultron on top of a truck,
16-wheeler, yeah,
a la Matrix Reloaded, when it was Morpheus versus Agent. So I think that was like a certain homage to that. That was cool. And you had that little jab with Barton goes like, you have no chance against them, Cap. And he was like, thanks, Barton.
Yeah. That
was good. But to watch Veronica, aka the Hulkbuster armor, versus Savage Hulk in IMAX 3D is the ultimate payoff. You guys get to watch it. The big screen just helped it come to life.
And like why they call it Veronica is hilarious to me, because it's like a lot of these quips and these ironic tendencies that we didn't give these characters is funny, because obviously Veronica is tied into Betty in Archie comics, and being that Betty is the Hulk's girlfriend, it's like it's his other girlfriend who's kind of selling him down. And I thought that was a great play on like these jokes that Joss Whedon has in this movie. I thought
my main thing that's missing from the Hulk Veronica Hulkbuster fight is Hulk saying something. At least I think throughout the whole movie he didn't have any dialogue as the Hulk. Like in Avengers 1, he puny god, that was one thing. I wanted him to say Hulk ripped Iron Man apart or whatever, something at least, because I know it's Savage Hulk, but I mean the Hulk still has a mind in it.
I think the MCU Hulk just says like one-liners. He's like the Vin Diesel of the cinematic universe. He doesn't really talk. He just has those one-liners like puny god and Hulk smash.
But I don't know. I thought that the fight was pretty good, even if Hulk didn't say anything, because I think it was a payoff to what we had in Avengers 1, where he punched Thor, and you got the same respect. It's reciprocated back to him in this fight, and I think Joss Whedon did a great job in how he translated Avengers 1 into Age of Ultron, and I was a big fan of that. And plus, I like, even though Hulk didn't say it, it was finally cool to see Black Widow call Iron Man Shellhead.
Yeah. I didn't catch that on the first watch. I caught it on the third watch. I was like, oh, snap. That's what Hulk calls Iron Man. So that was a pretty cool throwback.
Yeah, the movie was filled with action set pieces between the Hulkbuster and Savage Hulk against, the final fight scene protecting the key from Ultron, and we got the aerial view of everybody using their powers and skills. We got the train sequence, which was a chase between getting the cradle away from Ultron and all this other stuff. I thought it was amazing to see. Yet, did you guys feel that this movie fulfilled your expectations, and did it live out to the outside hype that people are giving it?
I think it did, definitely, because as Fred did, he watched it 5 times. I'm pretty sure other people that watched it the debut are going to have to watch it again because they enjoyed it that much. It just takes you into a whole nother realm of movie-going experience, because I don't know if your eyes are ready for all of that, but it was such a great movie, and I am hyped for the next one. It just built up for anything else Marvel gives us,
Yeah, to me, it lived up to my expectation and passed it because of its rewatchability. Like, I just had so much fun watching. I could just sit down and just watch it all day, and it brought back the fun of what the first one had, but it also gave us the tension that's building towards Phase 3.
I love the film. I love the film. It brought a comic book into a comic book movie, and I thought it did a great translation with that again with Joss Whedon. Applause to that, man. It sucks that we can't really see that until the Blu-ray comes out, but the 3-hour, I would love to see how the 3-hour cut or the 3-hour 15 minutes cut would be. But to me, just judging by other people's reviews and all the ratings, I don't think it and plus the money as well, I don't think it did live to the outside hype, in my opinion, because I think that with 75% in Rotten Tomatoes, I was expecting a little bit more higher. Maybe not in the 90s like the first Avengers was, because that was a tall glass of water to live up to, but at least in the 80s, 85, and that's where I'm like wondering like what. I get what everybody's saying about what's messing it up a little bit, but I think that to me it lived up to my expectations and I loved it, and I don't understand how like with like Interstellar and movies like that where you have to watch it 10 times it gets like this whole noir feeling of it's so cool and great, but to watch a action movie like this 10 times to get the story, it gets like a negative connotation, and that I don't understand, because I think the action was so good that everybody was oohing and eyeing in our screening that I have to watch it multiple times. I'd rather watch it by myself, to be honest with you, so I could catch all the little nuances that like Joss Whedon add with when the country of Wakanda was brought up, the whole entire the whole theater exploded after every punch, the revival of Vision, things are still being said as we're cheering, and I felt like that deals with the excitement, and I think you got to watch it over and over again. And if the 24-hour movie theater isn't enough, I thought that it lives to my expectations. I'm just not sure where the outside people are trying to put their expectations on this movie.
I think people are like just judging it too high because of what the Avengers. The first Avengers was just history in the making, because we've never seen so many solo movies become into one sequel, and to see that again, I guess people were having a higher expectation. But if this is Joss Whedon's swan song to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, bravo, sir! You did a great job. Thank you for your contribution, and oh man, I can't wait for your next project.
And most of the people in the theater were like, it ended already? We got to wait 3 years for the next one? Like, I think they're still hyped for it, because of hearing these people just saying, when's the next one coming out? When's the next movie? Like, to me, I think it did live up to the standard, but the first one did set the standard so high, and I think with the whole Fury 7 train just dying down now, I think it should have been like probably 2 more weeks after for the release, but it's still gonna make that.
And also the fight also affected its sales too, because
right.
the people projected like 40 million people watched it. Mm-hmm. That's not buying it, not buying the actual pay-per-view, but actually watching it. So it took a hit there. So I'm not really surprised, like, because of the hit of the money, but it's still a great film. It's fun. It's a summer blockbuster. It's an event film. That's what people want to watch, Marvel event films, and it to me it lived up to that.
All right, guys. So let's get some ratings. Out of 10, I would got it. I score it at just a solid 9.
I'm gonna go 9.5.
9.5 for me too.
All right, guys. So we have 9.30. I'm guessing that's estimated, I guess. But like I said, we're the fanboys here. This movie was made for us. Like I said, on actually, I think it dropped a little bit. On Rotten Tomatoes, it's at 72%. But I think with more future watches, I think more people are going to get more into it, especially now that all the basketball playoffs, the NHL playoffs, the MLB, whatever, and then the fight too kind of hit it. I think everybody's going to be watching it. I'll be watching it twice on Wednesday, once on IMAX and one on regular standard definition. So definitely watch it. But to get into the ending of it, we saw the end of the mid-credit scene, which was the Purple Man Thanos.
Yeah.
Picking up the glove, which is the wrong hand. So now Kevin Feige releases that there will be 2 Infinity Gauntlets in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is weird to hear, but I'm down with it if Kevin Feige's down with it. But I think that the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe is pretty much simple. It's Thanos. It's going to be the road to Infinity War. It's going to be a steep and challenging road, but for the Russos. But I think they're going to be producing a worthwhile film, especially after coming off of Winter Soldier, and maybe even dabbling in the hands of Spider-Man. I gotta see what the Russos are going to be doing from the Civil War to the road of Infinity War, especially now that we find out that they are going to be shooting the movie back to back for 6 to 9 months.
And hearing this news that there's 2 gloves, hey, 2 wielders, hey, why not? Either Iron Man could have one, or there could be double villain with Loki having another one. I don't know.
But there's only 6 gems, so they can't have both full gloves.
That's true.
Maybe it's like a yin and yang type of thing.
Mm-hmm. One's a good glove, one's a bad glove.
When they did that whole Marvel announcement of the slate of what the movies is coming up, all roads lead to Infinity War, so I can't wait for that. I was disappointed that they didn't really build towards Civil War, but I'm guessing with Ant-Man releasing in a couple of months, I think that's the movie that's going to really set up Civil War.
Yeah, I think Ant-Man's going to have the better mid-credit scene, something that to bite into. And if we see the web slinger, even better. What I forgot to mention while we're doing our review was at the end of the film where Ultron is defeated, most of the people of Scavenia are saved. We get a new Avengers training facility, which reminds me a lot about Avengers Academy. The scene, I can't believe I forgot to mention this, where we thought he was going to go to space, where Hulk gets into a Quinjet and then shuts off communications and just flies. After hearing after hearing the interview with Joss Whedon, he actually wanted to set the outer screen of the Quinjet with little stars to, kind of hint of a planet Hulk or World War Hulk. Obviously we didn't see that, but it was a lot of homages, a lot of oohs and ahs, and a lot of what I heard was, oh my God, they're really gonna do it. And that, I think, is the reason why I love this film. But at the end of the film, we get to see what we are gonna be calling the new Avengers. So off the bat, we got Captain America and we got Black Widow, and in comes the new team where we have Rhodey as War Machine. We got to see the Vision is staying and sticking through, and hopefully his love interest is there too. Scarlet Witch is there.
What did he do?
We get to see
Falcon.
Anthony Mackie's new Falcon suit with the red.
Cut the check.
One thing I want to also talk about before we get full into where we see the Marvel Universe going is that's right. How did you guys feel that originally in the film it was gonna be Miss Marvel in that Scarlet Witch scene for that team?
Oh, so Scarlet Witch wasn't gonna be part of the new Avengers team?
That was Miss Marvel.
Oh, that was gonna be Miss Marvel. I think that would have been a waste, because if they just introduced her right there, to introduce that type of character and nobody even knows who she is, would have been a waste. So
she was also going to be in that scene where War Machine came to save Iron Man.
I still think
he would have been in there.
I still think it would have been a waste, because you don't know where her powers came from and stuff like that. And I think it's right that they held her off for her own solo movie. So I'm down that they made Scarlet Witch part of the new Avengers.
Yeah, I totally agree with everything what Fred said. And I like that they're showing that there's going to be a whole new direction of the Avengers, because there's going to be guys that are not going to be showing up as Avengers. Hawkeye shows that he's not going to be there. Iron Man's going to be doing something else.
He pulled a Yoda.
Yeah, he's... Or an Undertaker, and then the Hulk. We don't know where he is. Yeah. He's in the sea, or he's swimming with the Little Mermaid, and I like that there's gonna be more of a dynamic with the new characters, how they're gonna mesh, and that was an awesome scene.
And they cock teased me with the Avengers Assemble, man.
Yes,
I was like,
we all roared for that one.
Oh man. They
In
cock
this
teased
script, from what I heard, Joss Whedon said that in the script that's how it was written, and Chris Evans was all for it. He was excited to kind of cut it off into that scene. But getting back to the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I think for me, judging by Age of Ultron, I think the most important film other than Civil War has to be, to me, Thor Ragnarok. I think with the validation that Kevin Feige gave it as to say that this Ragnarok film will be the true culmination of who Thor is. Though I did like Thor 1 and Thor 2, I guess I'm in the minority when it comes to those films. I think that Ragnarok will be what leads us to Infinity War, especially saying that or Thor saying that, you know, he has to deal with this dark force that's trying to assemble these stones. So what do you guys, what movie before Infinity War are you guys excited about? Yeah, I think that's the question.
I think Guardians of the Galaxy 2, right? Because I want to see how this outer space big purple guy, Thanos, fits in with him trying to invade Earth. Like, I think they're going to be the glue to show the transition from Thanos coming to Earth and then, you know, the outer space whole charade type thing.
To me, I think it's gonna be Civil War. Right? That's the one I really
Other than Civil War.
Oh, other than Civil War, I think I'm with you. It's gonna be Ragnarok because we have confirmation that Crimson Hemsworth is gonna be in both Infinity War Part 1 and 2. So I think that, to me, they're hinting at how big of a player Thor is, and maybe in Ragnarok he'll get the Odin Force, and maybe he's the one that's gonna step up to Thanos first and ultimately, like, maybe bow down or whatever.
Yeah, that'd be a crazy scene. I don't know how I'd react if Thor himself bowed down to the Almighty One.
One issue I have again is having Black Panther get pushed back because of Spider-Man. So my issue with that is if we get a Spider-Man film, pushing that back to Black Panther, and we don't get Spider-Man in Infinity War, I think that's gonna be such a waste of an opportunity, especially since we already have the Wakandian nation known to be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe with
Vibranium.
What's his name? Claw.
Yeah,
Ulysses Claw doing it. So that's what I'm excited about. But before then, we also have Ant-Man next. We have Civil War, Doctor Strange, Guardians of the Galaxy, Thor Ragnarok, Part 1 of Infinity Gauntlet. What's next? Black Panther, Miss Marvel, Inhumans,
And then
Spider-Man.
and then Part 2.
Oh,
Spider-Man
Yeah,
is,
Spider-Man is
after Doctor Strange.
Oh, okay.
So that's going to be exciting. All right, guys. So that's our spoiler review for Avengers Age of Ultron. Of course, we missed some stuff, but we talked about all our favorite things. So if we missed anything, please comment down below or send it to info@simplyputtalk.com. Definitely check us on our website with all our news and updates. It's www.simplyputtalk.com. Stay connected to us via social media on Facebook, Twitter, and on Instagram @simplyputtalk. And subscribe to us on YouTube, SoundCloud, and on iTunes under the Simply Put podcast banner. My name is Micki Angeles. You can find me on Twitter and on Instagram @MixCertified.
And I'm Fred Niones, aka Angelo. You can find me on Twitter and on Instagram @_Fred_N.
And I'm Jay Ramos. You can find me at It's J-Man with a Z.
And guys, we are recording this on on May 4th, 2015. So may the force be with you. Until next time.
Peace out.
Bye.
I'm gonna show you something beautiful. Everyone screaming for mercy. You want to protect the world, but you don't want it to change. You're all puppets, tangled in strings.